2. Support family. Poor girl dance. Hard to attract client. Unware CEO. Show up to buy. Coffee&Love her. The neon lights flickered above her as she twirled on the small makeshift stage. Beads of sweat glistening on her forehead. Every move she made was a mix of desperation and determination, each step echoing the weight of responsibilities far beyond her years. She wasn't just dancing, she was fighting for her family, for survival, for hope. The crowd around her clapped half-heartedly, tossing crumpled bills into the jar at her feet. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep going, at least for today. Little did she know, this night would change everything. Her name is Maya, a girl in her early 20s, with dreams bigger than the tiny apartment she shared with her younger siblings, an ailing mother. Life hadn't been kind to them after their father passed away unexpectedly, leaving behind medical bills that swallowed what little savings they had. With no one else to turn to, Maya took up odd jobs wherever she could find them, cleaning houses, babysitting kids, even selling handmade crafts online. But none of it brought in enough money to cover rent, groceries, and medicine. Desperate times called for desperate measures, and so every evening, when the sun dipped below the horizon, Maya found herself here, performing at a modest cafe known for its live entertainment and cheap coffee. Her heart ached with shame, but her resolve never wavered. Family came first, no matter what. The cafe buzzed with life tonight, more crowded than usual. Tourists mingled with locals, some laughing over steaming cups of espresso, while others tapped away on laptops, oblivious to the world around them. Maya tried not to focus too much on the faces watching her. Instead, she poured all her energy into her performance, letting the rhythm guide her movements. As the music swelled, she spun faster, her skirt flaring out like petals of a flower caught in the wind. For those few minutes, she forgot about the looming debt collectors, the empty pantry at home, and the exhaustion tugging at her limbs. All that mattered was the beat, the moment, the chance to earn just a little more. But then something unusual happened. A man walked in through the glass doors, his presence commanding attention without him even trying. He wore an expensive suit that screamed success, his polished shoes clicking softly against the tiled floor. His sharp features were softened by the faintest hint of curiosity as he scanned the room. When his eyes landed on Maya, there was a pause, a flicker of something unspoken. Most people didn't notice him right away, too absorbed in their conversations or phones, but Maya felt it, that brief connection across the room, though she quickly dismissed it. Clients rarely paid attention to anything beyond the spectacle, and she couldn't afford distractions. The man approached the counter, ordering a simple black coffee from the barista. As he waited, he leaned casually against the counter, his gaze lingering on Maya once again. There was something different about him, not just his tailored clothes or confident demeanor, but the way he watched her, almost studying her every move. Maya couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't like the others, yet she pushed the thought aside. She had learned long ago not to dwell on such things. Survival meant focusing only on what was necessary, and right now, that meant finishing her set and counting the tips afterward. As the final notes of the song faded, Maya bowed slightly, catching her breath. The applause was polite, if not enthusiastic, and she forced a smile before stepping off the stage. Her legs trembled slightly from exertion, but she ignored it, heading straight for the jar to count her earnings. The amount wasn't great, but it was better than nothing. Just as she was about to retreat to the corner table where she usually rested between sets, a shadow fell over her. Startled, she looked up and froze. It was the man in the suit, holding his coffee cup and wearing an expression she couldn't Quite red. You're very talented, he said, his voice smooth and measured. Maya blinked, unsure how to respond. Compliments weren't common in places like this, especially not from someone who looked like they belonged in a boardroom rather than a dingy cafe. Thank you, she managed finally, clutching the jar tightly in her hands. He nodded, seemingly unfazed by her hesitation. Do you perform here often? He asked, taking a sip of his coffee. Maya hesitated again, wary of giving away too much information. Sometimes, she replied vaguely, glancing toward the exit, as if calculating her escape route. The man must have sensed her unease, because he stepped back slightly, raising his free hand in a gesture of reassurance. I'm sorry if I startled you. I didn't mean to intrude. His tone was sincere, almost disarming. Maya relaxed fractionally, though she still kept her guard up. It's fine, she muttered, shifting her weight from one foot to the other. He studied her for a moment longer before speaking again. If you don't mind me asking, why are you doing this? You seem like someone with potential. Surely there are other options. His words hit a nerve, stirring emotions Maya had buried deep inside. Potential. That was a word she hadn't heard in a long time. Not since her father used to tell her she could be anything she wanted. Back when dreams felt attainable and the future seemed bright. Now, reality had a way of crushing such notions, replacing them with harsh truths. Still, something about the way this stranger spoke made her want to believe, just for a second, that maybe he was right. Maybe there was another path. Another, way out of the endless cycle of struggle. Before she could respond, however, the cafe door swung open again, drawing both their attention. A group of rowdy customers entered, loud and boisterous, immediately demanding service. The spell between Maya and the man broke, and she realized she needed to get back to work. She offered him a quick nod, mumbling a polite excuse, before retreating to the stage. As she began her next performance, she couldn't help but glance toward the counter occasionally, wondering if he was still there. And indeed, he was, watching her intently, his expression unreadable. Who was this man? And why did he care so much? Was he merely intrigued by her story? Or was there something more beneath the surface? Maya didn't know, but she couldn't deny the strange sense of anticipation building within her. For the first time in months, she felt a spark of hope, a fragile, fleeting thing that threatened to consume her thoughts entirely. Yet amidst the uncertainty, one question lingered in her mind. What did he really want from her? As the night wore on and the cafe slowly emptied, Maya noticed the man standing near the exit, waiting patiently as if reluctant to leave. When their eyes met once more, he gave her a small, enigmatic smile before disappearing into the night. It was only then, alone under the dim lights, that Maya allowed herself to wonder, could this stranger hold the key to changing her fate? Or was he simply another chapter in her ongoing fight for survival? The answer remained elusive, hidden somewhere in the shadows of tomorrow. Maya sat on the edge of her bed later that night, staring at the crumpled bills she had carefully counted and stacked on the small wooden table beside her. The faint hum of traffic outside seeped through the thin walls of their apartment, mixing with the occasional cough from her mother's room down the hall. Her siblings were asleep, curled up together, like kittens on a worn-out mattress they shared. It was quiet now, but Maya's mind refused to settle. That man's face kept appearing in her thoughts, his words echoing softly. You seem like someone with potential. Potential. The word felt foreign, almost mocking, given everything weighing her down. She thought about her father often, especially on nights like this, when the world seemed unbearably heavy. He used to tell her stories of dancers who became famous, women who turned their struggles into art and inspired millions. Back then, Maya believed she could be one of them too. She'd practiced tirelessly in front of the cracked mirror in their living room, spinning until she felt dizzy and breathless. But dreams didn't pay the bills, and reality had a way of snuffing out hope faster than a candle in the wind. After her father passed away, those dreams faded into the background, replaced by survival. Dancing at the cafe wasn't about passion anymore. It was necessity. Still, there was something unsettling about the stranger's presence tonight. Maya couldn't shake the feeling that he hadn't come to the cafe by chance. His suit, his polished demeanor, the way he carried himself, it all screamed wealth and power. People like him didn't usually wander into places like the cafe unless they were lost or slumming it for kicks. And yet, he hadn't acted like either. There was sincerity in his voice, curiosity in his gaze. Who was he really? Why had he chosen to talk to her, of all people? The next morning, Maya woke up earlier than usual, her body still aching from the previous night's performance. She brewed a pot of weak coffee and handed slices of stale bread to her younger brother and sister before heading out to run errands. Her mother needed medicine, and the landlord would soon demand rent again. As she walked through the crowded streets, dodging vendors and honking rickshaws, her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text message lit up the screen. "Meet me at the cafe tonight. I want to discuss something important." It was unsigned, but she recognized the number immediately. It was him, the man from last night. Her heart raced as she stared at the message, torn between curiosity and caution. What did he want? Was this some kind of trap? Or worse, was he trying to take advantage of her situation? Maya knew better than to trust easily. The world had taught her that kindness often came with strings attached. But deep down, a part of her dared to hope that maybe, just maybe, this encounter wasn't random. Maybe fate, or whatever force governed these things, had finally decided to give her a break. That evening, Maya returned to the cafe with trembling hands and a pounding heart. The place was quieter than usual. Only a few customers scattered around sipping tea or typing away on laptops. She scanned the room nervously, spotting him sitting at a corner table near the stage. He looked different without the suit, dressed casually in jeans and a button-down shirt, but his commanding presence remained unchanged. When he saw her, he stood up and gestured for her to join him. For a moment, Maya hesitated, glancing toward the exit as if considering running away. But then she remembered the jar of tips from last night, barely enough to cover groceries, and forced herself to walk over. "Thank you for coming," he said, pulling out a chair for her. Maya sat stiffly, clutching her purse like a lifeline. "Who are you?" she blurted out before he could say anything else. He smiled faintly, clearly not surprised by her directness. "My name is Arjun," he replied. "I'm the CEO of a company called Lumina Tech. Last night, I happened to stop by this cafe for coffee and ended up watching your performance. I was impressed." Maya frowned, unsure whether to feel flattered or suspicious. "Why does my dancing matter to you?" she asked bluntly. Arjun leaned back in his chair, studying her intently. "Because talent shouldn't go unnoticed," he said simply. "And because I believe you deserve better than performing in a place like this." His words caught her off guard. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. As if she mattered, as if her life held value beyond what she could scrape together each day. Arjun went on to explain that his company was hosting a charity gala in a few weeks, featuring local artists and performers. He wanted Maya to audition for a spot in the showcase. If selected, she wouldn't just gain exposure, she'd receive payment substantial enough to ease her financial burdens significantly. Maya listened in stunned silence, her mind racing, with questions. Was this real? Could she really step onto a bigger stage, one that might lead to opportunities she'd long since stopped dreaming about? But doubt crept in quickly. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice tinged with skepticism. "What do you get out of helping me?" Arjun paused, as if choosing his words carefully. "Let's just say I've been where you are," he admitted. "Not exactly, but close enough to understand how hard it is to hold on to hope when everyone tells you to let go. I want to help because I can, and because I see something special in you." His honesty disarmed her, but the fear of being deceived lingered. Maya nodded slowly, agreeing to consider his offer. As they parted ways, Arjun handed her a business card with his contact details. "Think about it," he urged. "This could change your life." Over the next few days, Maya wrestled with conflicting emotions. On one hand, the opportunity was tempting, a chance to escape the suffocating cycle of poverty and provide for her family in a way she never thought possible. On the other hand, trusting Arjun felt risky. What if this was all a ploy? What if accepting his help meant giving up control over her own life? These doubts gnawed at her relentlessly, keeping her awake at night. Meanwhile, tensions at home grew thicker. Her mother's condition worsened, requiring more expensive medication. Her younger siblings began asking questions about why they couldn't afford new clothes or toys like other kids. Each question cut deeper than the last, reminding Maya of how powerless she truly was. One evening, after another exhausting shift at the cafe, she found herself staring at Arjun's business card once more. Desperation clawed at her chest, urging her to take the leap. What choice did she have? The audition day arrived sooner than expected. Maya spent hours rehearsing, pouring every ounce of emotion into her routine. She chose a song that reminded her of her father, one that spoke of resilience and hope. When she stepped onto the makeshift stage, set up in a sleek auditorium owned by Lumina Tech, nerves threatened to overwhelm her. But as the music began, she closed her eyes and let instinct take over. Every spin, every leap, every gesture told a story, her story. By the time the final note faded, tears glistened in her eyes. Though she fought to hold them back, the judges' reactions were mixed, some nodding approvingly, while others scribbled notes without expression. Arjun watched silently from the back of the room, his face unreadable. When the results were announced later that afternoon, Maya braced herself for rejection. Instead, her name was called as one of the finalists. Relief washed over her, followed swiftly by dread. This was only the beginning. The gala loomed ahead, promising both opportunity and uncertainty. As preparations for the event intensified, Maya found herself spending more time with Arjun, who took a personal interest in mentoring her. He introduced her to choreographers, costume designers, and even public speaking coaches to ensure she shone on stage. With each passing day, their interactions grew less formal, more genuine. Maya discovered layers to Arjun she hadn't anticipated. His dry sense of humor, his quiet vulnerability, his unwavering belief in second chances. Slowly, cautiously, she began to trust him. Yet, amidst the whirlwind of rehearsals and fittings, shadows of doubt lingered. Rumors circulated among the staff at Lumina Tech about Arjun's intentions. Some whispered he was using Maya for publicity, exploiting her story to boost the company's image. Others speculated he had ulterior motives, romantic or otherwise. Maya tried to ignore the gossip, focusing instead on perfecting her performance. But the seed of insecurity had been planted, and it grew with each passing day. The night of the gala finally arrived, glittering with promise and peril. As Maya stood backstage, clad in an elegant gown provided by the event organizers, she felt the weight of countless eyes upon her. The crowd buzzed with anticipation, unaware of the storm brewing within her. Would she succeed? Would this be the turning point she desperately needed? Or would everything crumble before her very eyes? Just as the MC called her name, signaling her entrance, Maya spotted Arjun in the audience. Their gazes locked briefly, and for a fleeting moment, she allowed herself to believe in the possibility of a brighter future. Then the spotlight hit her, and the music began, carrying her forward into the unknown. As Maya stepped onto the stage, the world seemed to shrink until it was just her, the music, and the sea of faces watching her every move. The chandeliers above cast a warm glow, but her heart pounded like thunder in her chest. She took a deep breath, letting the melody guide her body. Every twirl, every leap felt raw and real, as if she were pouring her soul into the performance. The audience was silent at first, captivated by the emotion radiating from her movements. Then, slowly, applause began to ripple through the room, growing louder with each passing second. For the first time in years, Maya didn't feel invisible. She felt alive. But amidst the euphoria, something unexpected happened. Midway through her routine, Maya noticed a commotion near the entrance of the grand hall. A man in a security uniform whispered urgently into his radio, while another rushed toward Arjun, who sat near the front row. Maya's focus wavered for a split second, just long enough to see Arjun rise abruptly, his expression tense. He glanced at her briefly before disappearing behind the curtains. Panic bubbled inside her, threatening to derail her performance. What was going on? Had something gone wrong? Despite the distraction, Maya forced herself to keep dancing. This moment wasn't just about her anymore. It was for her family, for the sacrifices they'd all made, for the dreams she'd buried under layers of hardship. As the final notes of the song echoed through the hall, she ended her routine with a graceful bow, tears streaming down her face. The audience erupted into a standing ovation, cheering so loudly it drowned out the chaos unfolding backstage. When Maya finally stepped off the stage, her legs trembling from exhaustion, Arjun reappeared. His suit jacket was slightly disheveled, and there was an urgency in his eyes that sent a chill down her spine. "We need to talk," he said, gripping her arm gently but firmly. Before she could protest, he led her to a secluded corner of the venue, far from prying eyes. "What's happening?" Maya demanded, her voice shaking. Arjun hesitated, running a hand through his hair. "Someone leaked information about your past. The cafe, the struggles, everything," he explained quietly. "They're accusing me of exploiting you for publicity, saying this whole thing was staged to boost my company's image." Maya's stomach dropped. So the rumors she had tried so hard to ignore were true. They had spiraled out of control. "Why would anyone do this?" she whispered, feeling the weight of betrayal crush her. "It doesn't matter why," Arjun replied firmly. "What matters is what we do next. You've worked too hard to let them take this away from you." He handed her a folder filled with documents, press releases, statements, even legal advice. "I've already contacted our PR team. We can address this head-on together, but only if you trust me." Maya stared at him, torn between anger and gratitude. Part of her wanted to walk away, to retreat back into the safety of obscurity, where no one could judge or hurt her. But another part, a stronger part, knew she couldn't give up now, not when she was so close to breaking free. "Okay," she said finally, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. "Let's do it." The next few hours were a blur of interviews and damage control. With Arjun by her side, Maya faced the media head-on, sharing her story honestly and unapologetically. She spoke about her father's death, her mother's illness, and the sacrifices she made to keep her family afloat. She admitted to dancing at the cafe not out of passion, but necessity, and explained how Arjun had given her a chance to turn her life around. Her words resonated deeply, silencing critics and inspiring countless others who saw pieces of themselves in her journey. By the end of the night, the tide had turned. Social media flooded with messages of support, praising Maya's courage and authenticity. Even those who had doubted Arjun's intentions began to see him in a new light, not as a manipulative CEO, but as someone willing to use his privilege to uplift others. The gala raised more funds than expected, thanks largely to Maya's performance, and Lumina Tech pledged a significant portion of the proceeds to organizations supporting struggling artists. In the weeks that followed, Maya's life transformed in ways she never imagined. She landed a contract with a renowned dance academy, giving her access to training and opportunities she once thought impossible. Her siblings started attending better schools, and her mother's health improved with proper treatment. Most importantly, Maya rediscovered her love for dancing, not as a means of survival, but as a form of self-expression. As for Arjun, their relationship evolved into something neither of them anticipated. What began as mentorship blossomed into mutual respect, then friendship, and eventually something deeper. Though they came from different worlds, they found common ground in their shared desire to create change. Together, they launched initiatives aimed at helping underprivileged artists gain visibility and resources. Looking back, Maya realized the gala hadn't just been a turning point for her career. It had been a lesson in resilience, trust, and the power of believing in oneself. Life still threw challenges her way, but she faced them with newfound strength, knowing she wasn't alone. And whenever doubt crept in, she remembered the night she danced under the spotlight, proving to herself and the world that even in the darkest moments, there's always a glimmer of hope waiting to shine through. The story ends not with perfection, but with growth. Maya learned that success isn't measured by wealth or fame, but by the impact you leave on others and the courage to embrace your true self. For anyone watching her journey unfold, the takeaway was clear. No matter how impossible things may seem, perseverance and kindness can lead to miracles.